President Donald Trump has imposed a zero-tolerance policy against migrants trying to cross the southern border into the United States.
The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility. It won't be. You look at what's happening in Europe, you look at what's happening in other places, we can't allow that to happen to the United States, not on my watch.
He's spoken of wanting to avoid a situation similar to the one in Europe. The European migrant crisis stemmed mainly from the ongoing civil war in Syria, with nearly half of all refugees coming from the war-torn country. Whilst there is nothing on the scale of the conflict in Syria driving people to the United States, it is clear that the violence plaguing parts of Central America is a huge factor. The biggest increases in migration come from three countries referred to as the Northern Triangle: Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. 110,000 asylum seekers came from the Northern Triangle in 2015, 5 times more than in 2012. Menaced by drug trafficking, corruption, and violent crime by gangs, such as MS-13, the region is considered one of the deadliest in the world. A lot of that is to do with geography. It's sandwiched between some of the world's largest drug producers in South America and the world's largest consumer of illegal drugs, the US. The Northern Triangle has become a conduit of crime, as 90% of all cocaine that flows into the US comes through the region. The murder rate in these countries is shockingly high. El Salvador is the deadliest place in the world that's not a war zone, with more than 5,200 people killed in 2016. Extortion is also rampant, with Salvadorians paying an estimated $400 million in extortion fees to organized crime groups. This legacy of poverty, corruption, and crime can be traced back to the long-lasting instability in the region. Decades-long civil wars in El Salvador and Guatemala killed thousands, and the large number of unemployed men with easy access to weapons morphed into organized criminal groups. And gangs did not just form in these countries. MS-13 actually originated in Los Angeles in the 1980s by Salvadorians who had fled the Civil War. The gang grew in scale throughout Central America following large-scale deportations from the U.S. of undocumented immigrants with criminal records in the 1990s. All this despite the fact that the U.S. has provided over $1 billion of aid over the past decade to combat organized crime in the region. The president continues to talk tough on migrants trying to enter the U.S. at the southern border, but until violent crime is quashed in the Northern Triangle, thousands of people will continue to flee the region for a better life.